It's not Hanamura. I'm sorry, Johnny. But they might have done well to heed Johnny's advice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hanamura, in terms of setting up dive fights, playing to Cloud9's strengths, definitely up there. I mean, realistically, you can tell what they're going for with Volsky. You know, I hope you like Sombra, because we're going to be seeing a hell of a lot of it on this particular map, indeed. Because, you know, Volsky just suit the sort of, I guess, the Sombra gameplay that Cloud9, I'm assuming, are going to be wanting to run here. You know, you can get some decent full holds off with the EMPs and whatnot, but to go for that win, it's going to be a tough one on Volsky, especially against Singularity. The way they've been playing has been absolutely incredible. Like, across the board, tank play has been very good. Kellex as well was pointed out on the analyst desk. He got a crucial sound barriers in the nick of time in multiple scenarios throughout that entire game on Iconvolt.
A key here when you enter into Assault is that you need very good engagements, and frankly, you weren't getting them from C9 in the last map, where what is most analogous to an Assault map? The beginning of a hybrid map.
Right.
And C9, they weren't on the same page at all. Granted, this is a little bit more favorable. First point on Volskaya very much does favor the attackers, but the main thing I would like to see beyond what was talked on the desk, Bren, is just engages where you see Mozasa getting supported by space and not Mozasa having to sort of go in on his own.
Yeah, it's Mozasa against the world in a lot of these scenarios, and the dive is a big point to really home in on here, because Cloud9 are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to change things up. They're on the attacking side for this section here on Volskaya. And I mean, they are going to have to sort of work this out. Space needs to be supporting Mozasa better when they leap in. They need to be prioritizing the targets better as well as a result. And that really hasn't been happening to a great degree. But now we see Singularity on the defense. Again, as you'd expect, you're going to see some Sombra coming out. It's her most popular map, it's her favorite map, you know, mainly because of the multiple health packs you can hack up, deny them away from the enemy team once they're hacked, and build up your own ultimate, the EMP, which honestly builds at an incredibly rapid rate. You can almost get it in the first team fight in most scenarios.
And what we see from Singularity, they're not running a dive defense with the Sombra, so their fall through on EMPs will be a little bit weaker, but they have a better ability to disengage and poke now that they're running the 76. Bren, C9, they're going up the right side.
Yeah, as you'd expect. I mean, when you're playing against the Sombra, this is what most teams like to play. Like, they take control of this room that you can see right now that they're hovering above. You can see it is hacked up, but that is on the side of Singularity, so they're just going to try and deny it and not let Singularity get any healing from it so the EMP doesn't get built up and take the fight from there.
And look at Smex. Even though he's drawing fire, he's not taking much damage. The poke on him somewhat wasted as Singularity now works their way in. They're winning the poke war really heavily, but Poppy Fresh takes a Helix rocket to the dome from Nevix. That equalizes. It gives Mozasa time to get healed up. He was very low. Singularity, though they were leading for quite a while there, because of that pickoff, things have gone entirely the other way.
Yeah, fantastic sleep dart by Gray. Completely set that bad boy up right there, and Poppy Fresh did not know what hit him. And Nevix on point with these Helix rockets again. Going to be demolishing them, but for the time being, they are going to be able to cap this one up. And now the game plan, realistically here, is going to be Cloud9 just seeing how hard and how fast they can take this 2 on the second checkpoint. They do have a few ults to use here, ZP. They've got the Nano Boost, they've got the Sound Barrier. We could potentially be seeing a Nano Visor, I feel like. Nevix very close to his own tactical visor, and that could decimate Singularity because they're not ready for it at the time.
And don't forget, what we're probably going to see from C9 here is like Gray will use the Nano Boost early on, and then likely swap to the Zen after. I don't expect him to send the Ana for too long here. However, how they engage this with the Nano Boost, they have to be careful of the EMP, Bren.
Yeah, Neptuno, he's got to be hiding that right now with his positioning, I should say. He doesn't want to get caught out by this EMP. He wants to be able to be in a position to use it after the EMP to secure his team's victory in this next fight. But you can see Cloud9, they're taking it slowly, steadily, just waiting, poking, prodding, looking for the opportunities.
And this patience is paying off right now, but because Sound Barrier is their main support ultimate to engage with, they have to wait out the EMP, so neither team engaging, and it's both of them trading out into the backline, pulse bomb for Helix Rocket. However, that favors the defenders a little bit more as long as Mr. Beck can stay alive and actually use the CMP.
Fantastic bio grenade, denies Christopher the healing he would have got from that health pack there. Neptuno is going to be able to find it as well, not to mention the sleep dart by Gray. Gray's been playing phenomenally well, and now we're going to see finally the Nano Visor is coming out to play, but he does not get clipped by the EMP. The EMP is a little bit poor, a little bit off the mark, and Cloud9 are the ones coming out on top with the kills.
That EMP not doing what Singularity wanted at all. It was a panic EMP in response. They dropped the barrier, but Mikey, in response, finds Christopher. The spawn room, not enough to save him, and C9 keeping up the pressure. Mikey ends up giving his life for it, but look at Nevix here in the back. Still plenty of room to work with. He's been there for so long, but the pulse bomb takes him down, and perhaps now Singularity might be able to get some breathing room. Yeah,
at this point now, I mean, you get a decent amount of tick percentage on the board for Cloud9. They've got 45% as it stands, and still 5 minutes to work with. It's plenty of time for them to do some damage and secure out this round at least. And Singularity, for the time being, are just going to be building up that EMP, as you can see, just waiting for the heals, reusing that health pack. And Mr. Beck already up with another EMP here. That's the real danger zone for Cloud9 here, is these EMPs. If they can find an opportunity, a window, where they're not going to be getting, you know, EMP'd every fight, right now, that's really the key to victory here, if they can sort of bait it out from Mr. Beck a little bit earlier.
Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that I don't think Mr. Beck can be baited all that easily. He held on to it for a really long time. The bad news, oh no, that was a really nice EMP. He saw everyone. Of course you let it go there.
My goodness, that was connected onto absolutely everyone, and it should just be cleanup duty for them. And indeed it is. Christopher using his Primal Rage just to really seal the deal there, and the reset is called Cloud9. And do not want to take that fight again. Now, the interesting thing here as well is that, you know, Mr. Beck, he's just used that EMP. He's back up to 50% almost already. He's going to be poking now into the backlines. You see this is what Sombra players do. They work their way into the backlines. They get a bit of poke damage in, and they relocate away just in the nick of time, as you can see, and just keep resetting, picking up the health pack when they take a bit of damage.
And for C9, they do have a short window here. The problem is that you don't always know that you have these windows. You can't see the ult charge of the other team, Bren. And now as C9 moves in, if they open up the barrier, it'll work because they don't have to worry about the EMP.
Now the pulse bomb is going to get ate up there by the defense matrix. They're moving in with so many ultimates. Off the ball, Neptuno, he falls. No more soundbar for this next fight. And the kills, again, are just flowing in for Singularity right now. Best case scenario for Cloud9 is if they force out some ultimates.
So what we knew there is that if Neptuno had opened with the barrier, that would have went really well for C9. The EMP wasn't in play. But again,
there's no way to know, right, on the enemy team. They've got no way to track these ultimates. That's the real raw deal here, is that you have to track them mentally in your head. It's usually always a safe bet to assume that she has the EMP every time, because it does build up that quickly. But in that scenario, Cloud9 are a little bit more hesitant to use that sound barrier, and they got essentially punished for it.
All right, well, C9, now if they use the sound barrier, it absolutely will get stripped, so if they didn't want to use it before, they won't open with it here. This gives Mr. Beck a lot of power in deciding when to use the EMP, and now this fight is taking place. C9 in the back, it's Mikey with a little bit of distraction, and it's effective. Between him and Mausasa, they take down Fisher, a 6-on-5 opportunity, and now for Mr. Beck, when do you use this EMP?
Cloud9 playing this very slowly, and ultimately it's going to mean Singularity going to be coming out on top, because any picks they get, the slower this fight goes, the better it's going to be for Singularity. As you can already see, they got the kills off the back of it. They're just going to be building up their ults off the back of Space as he leaps off the edge, I should say, of Volskaya there. And now, ultimate-wise, Singularity have finally built up their own sound barrier. Kellick's going to be sitting on that one nicely. He's going to be holding onto it now for the right time.
So here's a question here, Bren, is that, do you think C9 should get off the Ana? They're so reliant on the sound barrier that they can never really engage with it right now because they're terrified of the EMP. It's
a real struggle. Like, the Nano Boost is an incredibly powerful ability, and Ana as a whole has a lot of utility, but I can understand why they're running this for the Bio Grenade, but here is the lead in right now, ZP. They got the EMP, but they don't even need to use it because the damage, again, Singularity realize they're playing to their strengths. Cloud9 are going through the same motions every time, trying to play either the left-hand side or playing it slow, and it's just not working out. Singularity are picking them apart.
Watching Neptuno right now, I'm just reminded of watching a musician in their waning years where it's like, I don't really feel like going on tour anymore. I don't really want to play my music as much. I'm just not feeling it. He hasn't been able to drop sound barriers here because of the abject fear of the EMP, and it's just a deadly cycle for C9 where it's almost like they don't have a barrier at all.
Right, and it's that sort of hesitation is really costing them. And again, they're going for the exact same play once again. Christopher using the Primal Rage to survive the Pulse Bomb stick coming out from Poppy Fresh there. And still trying to basically fight this one out. Once again, Mr. Nevix with the Helix Rocket does bring down Kellex. That's no sound barrier for this fight, but Mr. Beck completely wipes out the sound barrier.
And that's why Neptuno wasn't leading with barrier. He wanted to avoid this very situation. The barriers are stripped immediately. Nevix, though, don't tell him that. Grinding through with the Tac Visor, getting 3 kills. And now it's Singularity on the hot seat where they have to move in a rough situation, use barrier on 2 people, but they are getting powered through right now.
A lot of cap time, 88% and counting. The players are falling on the point right now. Singularity trying desperately to try and hold on to this point here, but Cloud9, they got everyone alive almost. Mikey A just on cleanup duty right now, putting in the damage. Singularity trying to re-engage this one, but I don't think they can do it. They don't have the ults. Pulse Bomb will miss by Mikey A. Is there anyone on the point to try and handle this? The fight continues. continue, ZP.
Christopher leaping back in, but he is running out of allies in a hurry. He ends up falling there towards the very end, and C9 continuing the pressure. They lose Mikey, though, which could be problematic if they can't finish this out before the next wave of respawns. Mikey was getting most of the cleanup kills, but they still have Nevix, and he definitely carries what was remaining.
No real attempt to try and stall this out by Singularity, but they are not switching over to like the May and whatnot because they don't need it now. They've finally moved into these moments and they've bought enough time for it to go into the overtime. An incredible stall coming out from Singularity. Nevix uncontrolled right now. He's absolutely demolishing them with the nano visor, and that will finally clinch it out. But ZP, can we just comment on this? You're raising your hands. I can tell you know the point. Singularity, that stall was incredible.
So there's a few main points here. The first one, just on a visceral level, is that I kind of imagine Nevix right now just drenched in the blood of his enemies, just screaming, beating his chest, "Do you want more?" Because that was one of the more sustained periods of soldier cleanup we've ever seen. However, because it went to overtime, now there's a very nice win condition here for Singularity. If they just finish with 1 minute and 1 second left here, Bren, C9's chances are over, because then that would just lead to a tie at the absolute worst, which would give Singularity the series and consequently eliminate Cloud9.
Yeah, Cloud9, they need to essentially full hold now, or at least keep them away from that second checkpoint and not let them cap it out. That's the win condition for them coming into this, because if it does end up being Singularity getting that second checkpoint, it's going to mean at least a draw in the grand scheme of things, and that will put the scoreline up to 3-1 on the scoreboard here. But compositions-wise now, Cloud9, again, we're going to see the Sombra coming out to play Gray on that role. He's actually one of the better Sombras in the region of EU as it stands. Gray has put a lot of practice into this role. He does it quite well. The real question mark in my mind is how is Singularity going to be approaching this attack? Because we saw what Cloud9 did, what most teams usually do. You take control of the Mega Halfpack room, you deny it away from the enemy team, but Singularity, that doesn't really scream to me their playstyle. It has been relatively passive at times, but they are really quite an aggressive team when you look at their dive compositions.
Generally speaking, I'd be surprised if they went up the middle unless they saw just a golden opportunity. I think you're most likely to see them going up the left side because it's probably the safest approach to get in, which will give Fisher plenty of room. If they wanted to be a little bit unpredictable, they could go up the right to that high ground, but you're more likely to get dove on there. So if Singularity wants to take good advantage of just weaving in and out of the battlefield, it's more likely that they'll go left.
Well, Singularity going to be coming out the gates with a very aggressive composition. Zenyatta being ran instead of the Ana by Mr. Beck, going to be getting that overwhelming damage. And I believe you might have been correct here, ZP. They are going to be trying to take the left-hand side, but look at this dive by Cloud9.
C9, this is what they do. They have all-encompassing dives where they make it an all-or-nothing proposition. And right now, Bren, it is just about all. They get down both supports immediately. They stop Singularity from getting to that positioning where they could weave in and out and give Fisher the room he wants, give Christopher the room to move in and retreat. And they just say, no, we're not playing that game. We're going to stop you there.
No, I love that call by Cloud9 to get aggressive right there, because that section, when they move from the one building to the other, there's a small window of opportunity where they don't have any cover of the buildings to really use to avoid the damage. And Cloud9 completely capitalized off it. They dove into the back lines and brought them down with just essentially the overwhelming damage that they have available to them.
Well, here we go again. Here comes Singularity up the left side, but C9, they're not swift, Bren. They're nowhere near quick enough. They let Singularity get up there in space. Didn't get the memo. Dove in without his team for a moment there. The counter dive by C9, just not very good at all. And now Singularity, they have the room to work with that they were seeking in the very beginning, Bren.
Cloud9 are trying to play this very passively, very patiently. Neptuno gets taken out in the back lines, and still they're not really committing any bodies to the point, just waiting for the right time to strike. Nevix going onto the back lines, and it's a fantastic dive by Cloud9. They're really committing to this attempt to try and full hold this one out, but Nevix will get ultimately ran down once again. The kills, they are being traded out quite evenly so far, but this is all going to be in essentially Singularity's favor.
It is, and that was a short-handed dive to begin with. Normally Nevix could have done more, but there we go. The EMP from Grave, but it's into a losing fight. Bren, this is really bad for C9 because if they can't pull this back now, Gray's not going to have the EMP for second. Singularity could have game-winning momentum here. And remember, if they're just able to finish this with any time left on the clock above 1 minute, that gives them the series and eliminates C9. C9's in the hot seat.
Yeah, this could be over within the blink of an eye, essentially. Gray Using that EMP towards the tail end of that fight, again, hard committing towards trying to full hold them away from that first checkpoint is going to 100% work against them, because now, look at this, Singularity, they use the sound barrier with no fear of the EMP trying to negate it, and they move straight in.
They move straight in. Mr. Beck, can you stay alive? No, he can't. Nevix got rid of the threat. He was so close to getting the Transcendence there that would have kept Singularity in the fight, that might have given them the fight and eliminated C9. So Nevix really being the hero there and getting...
Oh, no. I don't believe it. Oh, wow. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Okay. It's okay, ZP. It's okay. It's over. It's okay. Don't worry.
She's gone. She got another mech down there, I want to believe.
Yeah, sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night, pal. I'll go with it. But Cloud9, like you mentioned, picking off Mr. Beck before he could get the Transcendence, that was the key winning moment there in that fight. As soon as that happened, it was going to take a lot of effort, a lot of skill as well from the side of Singularity to try and win out this one. But attempt number 2 now as they look to re-engage, and they do have a few ultimates still online, but Gray very close to that EMP. In fact, he's just got it now. That's going to be a bit of a worry for Singularity.
Self-destruct comes out into... Oh, why would you use the EMP there? The self-destruct goes in right as C9 decides to go in. The shot call couldn't have been worse. They get blown up, and they've given Singularity a golden opportunity. Self-destruct beats EMP, by the way.
The triple kill by Smex has set them up. The Dragon Blade by Nevix, he's desperate, he's hunted. He might just turn this one around for his team. Sweeping in through the fray, gets to D-Mech as well with the reflex, but Poppy Fresh is looking for more. He brings down Nevix and Neptuno, but I don't think this is enough here, ZP.
No, it's not. C9, they get out of the fire there, but that could have been disastrous.
Yeah.
I mean, Bren, we've seen this before where self-destruct can just ruin an EMP's day.
It really can. The wrong place, wrong time there with the EMP. But Gray, thankfully, it doesn't happen. You know, Neptuno is on the point. He's able to peel effectively and stall long enough for Cloud9 to respawn again. And then they just take the fight with a superior team fight, because at the end of the day, Singularity was still working off that player disadvantage. You know, Cloud9 had more players alive than the side of Singularity at that moment. And now we're seeing them lead it in again. That's an early Transcendence. I don't know if I agree with it.
I think he thought Gray was going for the EMP, but guess what? Surprise! There's the EMP. After the Transcendence, he held it. And as a result, it is a clean sweep for C9. And that's the case where Mr. Beck, perhaps in due diligence to Gray, realized the danger. And now, Bren, Singularity, they're getting off the Zen. And I get it from Mr. Beck's perspective, but doesn't this put Kellic in a rough spot now in the Mind Games versus Gray?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to have this EMP, but... he's going to have the sound barrier right now, but again, you go into these fights with the assumption that Gray has the EMP. And for anyone at home who maybe doesn't watch Overwatch as religiously as some of us do, EMP does negate completely the sound barrier, but Singularity, they end up using it early on. They want to take the risk, and they know that now Gray does not have the EMP to work with.
Gray right now taking a nap, but they're not able to get in. It was nice protection coming in from space to protect his sleeping buddy. However, they've got a few kills. Fisher's on the point. This is where a Reaper can choke you out, so long as he has teammates up in support. And Christopher is giving him the support he needs right now. Fisher's still in this, and he's healing up off Malzasa's body.
Yeah, absolutely. The light's still coming in handy right now for Fisher. The team peeling for him. Fisher finding the kill onto Mozasa, brings him down, getting some crucial cat time for the time being. But Gray, he moves back in. He has the EMP. Going to be using it, but is it going to be enough for them? We're going to see some more switches. Nevix moving over to the fire, but he has to back out as he falls too low.
Surprise Pharah coming out here, but part of it is, if you're playing as Pharah, you can put more damage on set point without worrying too much about the Reaper. However, Singularity, they're not backing out, although perhaps they should. Christopher's down, Poppy Fresh is down. Time to go back, boys.
It's all over. You got to reset off the back of that, losing too many players. They are going to be backing off for the time being, but look at this dive. Look at this aggression that's coming out from the side of Cloud9. They're just not letting up in the slightest. Singularity going to be almost getting D-mech there as well. Smek's very lucky to stay alive in that scenario, but for the time being, can we just talk about this time bank now that's been built up here? Because Singularity have only a minute 40 seconds here to try and get this cap up. They've already got one single tick, but Cloud9, they're happy to be in this position. They've got so many ults to use, and it's going to take, honestly, a miracle for Singularity to try and win this one out.
Also, Nevix really doesn't have to worry about anyone here. He can just float over the top, hold on to the barrage, takes down Mr. Beck, still holding on to the barrage, and you know what? It's not going to rain. It's just going to be a slight drizzle. Oh, it is going to rain. I take it back. I'm just as accurate as real weathermen.
Yeah, no umbrella to protect you away from that one, but, I mean, it is going to be the team wipe in the end, as you do hear the noise there. And I mean, right now I'm trying to look at this win condition for Singularity coming into this. They've got a minute, they've got time, they've got ultimates, almost 6 online. If they were ever going to be winning, it would be here and now. But Cloud9 can meet them you know, ultimate to ultimate almost. Nevix is the only one who's just expended his barrage in the end there to try and win out that engagement. It's going to be super tough for them to try and win this one.
Well, see, C9 sometimes does like exceeding expectations in certain fights here, so we'll see how this goes down. This is a fight they should win. However, Gray, under pressure, you can't get picked off with the EMP, and he does. He had the EMP, but the rest of the fight's still going okay for C9. Singularity, they drop the barrier because they know the EMP isn't up because Gray is down, but Nevix isn't getting answered here in the skies. He's doing enough damage over the top, and C9 is in firm control. They're going to have the EMP back out. And Singularity, Bren, they're not going to have enough time to make another good assault. Yeah,
it's a real struggle because only 12 seconds remaining here until Cloud9 are going to be potentially taking this map away from them. And if they don't have any bodies to get onto the point, they're going to struggle here. We've seen this in the past. Teams, they underestimate their ability to get back onto the point, but they're moving in. They do find Poppy Fresh, but the EMP, it comes out early. Cloud9 using the sound barrier on top of it to really try and secure their win.
And the problem here is for Singularity is that even though they could get to the point in time, the key phrase there is good assault. They just had to throw themselves onto the point. It sets up Gray for a really nice EMP, and then all the cleanup in the world is there. So Cloud9 keeping their playoff dreams alive here by taking Volskaya, but Bren, they still have 2 maps to go.
They do, yeah. If they really want to be taking this, remember, ladies and gentlemen at home, if we go to a map number 4, if Cloud9 do manage to take this 4th map, we're going to be seeing Ilios being played. Ilios is the sort of tiebreaker map that we see, the map number 5. Only in rare situations. It's a long trek for Cloud9 to really try and grasp their way back out of this, but multiple times, Singularity, we didn't really see sort of the Singularity that we've been seeing in the previous maps. It felt like almost like a different team. Either that or Cloud9 were playing much better, which I think they were. Their coordination was definitely on point compared to the previous 2 games.
It looked more like vintage Gray, where I feel like Gray has been more off and on than we have historically seen him going back to, say, Contenders Season 0.
Yeah.
But this felt like more of a return to form for his somber play overall. Even though it did get a little bit crazy there towards the end where he got picked off. Other than that, he was still getting EMP up rather quickly and using it in effective fashion throughout most of that defense.
Yeah, I got no arguments with the way that he was playing. Across the board, I mean, there was a few mistakes, like you mentioned, towards the tail end of it, but, you know, Gray was actually, you know, paramount in the fact that Cloud9 were able to take that away from Singularity.
All right, guys, will C9 be able to complete the comeback and reverse sweep here? We're going to go to a quick break. Map 4 coming in right after. And we're back with Overwatch Contenders Season 1 EU, C9 versus Singularity, Bren. And C9, though they were battered in the first half, they're showing signs of a comeback here in the second half, and there's still hope as we head into map 4.
There is hope. There is still hope here. I mean, we could potentially be seeing map number 5. It depends if Cloud9 are going to be able to take this one away from Singularity now. But remember, this is now going to be Singularity's map pick here as we're moving into it. It's going to be Gibraltar, is map we're going to be seeing as well. And I mean, it's an interesting case because Singularity as a whole have looked actually pretty strong on Gibraltar, I'd say, this new Singularity roster at least. And Cloud9, not so great.
No, this is, of course, going into C9's worst map.
Yeah.
In fact, it might be the worst performance of any team on any one map in all of Contenders across North America and EU. They've gotten full
so
hell.
Savage. It's so savage.
But
He's
it's
not
also
holding
true.
back.
Okay, it's
Hold
true.
him back.
They've gotten full held on first,
Yes.
not once,
Yeah.
not twice, three times.
Yeah,
Three
it's happened a lot.
times.
It's a real problem, and it mainly comes down to the fact that they, I don't know, it's a struggle, isn't it? It's a real struggle for them.
Well, it's because they keep running triple DPS, and they don't run it particularly well for First Point Gibraltar. Teams are very much expecting what they're going to be doing, and like I said, if it happens one time, you could say it's a fluke. Happens 2 times, it's a little bit of a trend. 3 times, they've had real problems.
Right.
So we'll see if they've fixed it here as they go against Singularity.
Yeah, Cloud9 on the defense for now. We're going to see Gray is on the Sombra. So again, this is a strategy that some teams like to employ. It's mainly based around, once again, Gray on the Sombra. We were talking about, we were bigging him up as a big player in the scene, sort of, and the reason why that previous map was won to the side of Cloud9. But as you can see in this lower area here, there's a couple of health packs you can hack up. You can really get them under your control, and then from there you can build up your EMP, because if your teammates heal up using those hacked health packs, it builds up your ultimate, which does build in a very rapid fashion. So you find teams, they do often employ this strategy, but it is risky. You're playing quite aggressively. You have to play around those health packs, which are quite far forward, so it can backfire on you quite dramatically.
And really, this is the gamble that C9 is taking, right? Where they need this first fight to go well. They're going to be without a decent amount of power early on. What they want to do here, Bren, they just want to delay this out for a while and make Singularity take their time, and all the while let Gray build up his EMP.
Yeah, it's the slow siege almost here for Cloud9. As you can see, playing very passive. I'm going to be heading now Singularity, just letting them push this cart up to a reasonable degree, just up in this ledge here. But you can see in the backlines already going to start to get pressured here, putting in the damage, and any chip damage that Singularity are going to be doing is going to be slightly working against them as they start to build up that EMP. And
that's what C9's looking for. They want this longer, protracted fight. But Space, he's taking a nap. That means Malzasa has to use his leap and barrier just to keep Space out of trouble. And this is creating an opening here for Singularity. But Smex, a little bit over aggro, gonna get demeched. But while it goes on, Malzasa's down. He gave his life for Space, and he might want it back.
They're going to be looking for more opportunities here, trading out quite evenly. Space is already going to be, might just be desuited, indeed he does, but Nevix, he answers back. The Helix rocket brings down Poppy Fresh, and Gray is definitely there as well, and has the EMP available. Doesn't opt to use it aggressively now, just going to be holding on, and Cloud9 do get a successful defense here.
C9 out of the fire here, and let's be realistic. The best chance that C9 has is winning Gibraltar, if you look at their historic stats here, is getting a full hold themselves on this very first point. So they're on their way. 1.5 minutes have been burned here, Bren. But now look at Mikey. Here in the back, has the pulse bomb, but it's under pressure as well.
Yeah, looking for these kills right now. I mean, the win condition for Singularity is bringing down Gray before he can do exactly that. The EMP is going to connect onto a couple of them for the time being. And again, it's only an even trade and no sound barrier available. You saw Singularity, they went for it. Kellex tried to go for that sound barrier, but unfortunately got taken down mid-ultimate as it stands. And Fisher tries to even out with the Dragon Blade, is doing a decent amount of work, brings down Space as a result.
This might have worked out okay for Singularity here, depending. Maybe not so much if Smex dies, because if they could have kept that going and then had a barrier in reserve, that would have been great. But Singularity,
they're still doing it.
Wait, they just invested a nano boost here. They're going right back into this fight. Christopher leading the way. They break it down. They don't care that they're not full strength. C9 might be, but now they're under pressure. Malzasa had the Primal Rage, and Nevix is getting booped and bopped around.
Yeah, he's 27 HP, might just survive in the back lines. But meanwhile, there's a fight taking place on the front lines. We see the fight kicking off here. Cloud9 trying to defend this, and they are doing a decent job of it. Singularity losing Christopher to the back lines there meant that they didn't have a frontliner, and are forced to ultimately back off here now. But realistically as well, Cloud9 have done very well for themselves. Kellex invested his sound barrier in that previous fight, and they got nothing from it.
And they have the EMP up. This is a very winnable condition now for C9. There's the pulse bomb. The stick connects. Back out of the fight. This feels like C9 should actually get the first point hold here, Bren. Everything's going up their way.
The ults are looking good. You know, the defensive positioning is looking good. Cloud9 are looking good as a whole, and it's quite strange to see in a lot of ways. But Neptuno, he picks up the stragglers and the backlines. Singularity have really got to turn something around now, and they've got nothing really to use. Smex has to go huge with this self-destruct if they want a chance.
Bren, here's a question. What is stronger? C9's objective advantage right now on this map, or their curse on Gibraltar?
We're about to find out at the end of the day. We're about to find out. As we see, the EMP, Gray, is looking for the right opportunity to use it. Singularity, they need to try and force it out early, but it gets used on top of 4 members of the team Singularity.
Oh no. Mr. Beck, he's got fall here early on. C9, good advantage here. They don't get as much from the EMP as they would like, but they get the first 2 kills. The supports are done for Singularity. They're down to the final 19 seconds, and surely C9, with the barrier still in reserve, this should just be cleaning up business now, Bren.
Yeah, I mean, Space has the self-destruct. Singularity, the only thing they've got going for them is Fist with that Dragon Blade. But look at Poppy Fresh. He's desperate to get onto that cart to try and stall it out. He's forced a lot of members of Cloud9 into the server room for the time being. It's actually quite an intelligent play, because now the cart starts to get played by Kelix, and he can move in, but it's all going to be off the back of Fisher. He needs to go huge right now.
Fisher, here he comes. The blade is out. It meets the barrier and simply does nothing. C9 crushing this team fight with the ultimate advantage they have. They're going to have an EMP up towards the end, but they don't need it here. They use it anyways. They're going to take down Christopher, and this should be just about it. As Christopher falls, overtime ticks down, and C9, surely this is the time for redemption, right?
This must be it. I mean, they are keen to take it to a map number 5 here, ZP. I mean, realistically, that was an incredible full hold, an incredible effort, but I gotta say, I think Singularity's attempt was a little bit lacking in a lot of ways, because they were really approaching that, again, from the upper area time and time again. It's a hard ask. Where else do you realistically approach that from? But super susceptible to Gray's EMPs every single time, connecting it onto multiple people. And again, like, I keep mentioning it, but he was the reason they managed to get those full holds time and time again. Wasn't getting picked off, you know, in dumb positions, just was building up his EMP quite consistently, rotating as well, hacking up the health packs and denying that sort of healing away from Singularity.
So C9 might have learned from prior experiences now, Bren, where you take a look at what they're flashing on offense here. We don't know for sure if this is what they'll go with, but they would be putting Space onto the Diva, and Malzasa, of course, would be on the Winston. He's not going to stand the Hanzo. They would be going with more of a 2-2-2. So if they change to a more traditional offense here, they don't go triple. Oh no.
No, it's surely not. He's just messing with you. They're on the attack. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Are they going to go triple DPS again? I mean, I feel like they could get away with it, given their last defense.
So,
but
Singularity, now, we can talk about this defense a little bit more, because they're going for this completely traditional dive composition. They're not switching things up. They've just got the Tracer, the Genji, and the Zenyatta as well, just to really help them out with the Discord orbs. Not running the triple DPS, just sticking to what they know, with Smex and Christopher being that dynamic duo of UK tanks. So really just trying to cement and play around, I guess, the strongest foundations of what they can do, because they're going to need to do it, because Cloud9, look at that little golden checkbox just down there. That's as far as they need to push it in right now for Cloud9 to really take this map and bring it to a map number 5.
So the only thing I'll say here is that this would be an epic repurposing here of C9 if they got held for a 4th time, not even at first, but prior to first. However, Bren, they are coming in here with the triple DPS comp. They're playing Gibraltar how they always have on the attack, but this time they don't have to get very far.
Oh, Cloud9 are going to be committing with the triple DPS in this attack, and you know, historically hasn't been the strongest composition, or composition I should say, for attacking this first point of Gibraltar. And still laying in the shurikens. They're playing it slow. They're just trying to farm at the ultimates, because they realize they don't really have, you know, a long way. But Mozaza is just steadily pushing up that cart, while the rest of his team is going to be farming up the ults for the next fight.
Payload? Question mark. This is a case where they have to contest the payload here. It's very close. They have to worry about both C9 and the triple DPS and the threat of the payload. However, Mozaza, his secret agent shenanigans discovered, taken down by the payload. Mikey looking for a bit of a distraction here in the back. A little bit of Tracer versus Tracer here. And now he's going for Mr. Back in the back, but he's under assault.
Yeah, he is from the back lines as well. Christopher finally spotted him. Mikey, yeah, he is trapped in between multiple enemies, but remember, he is playing Tracer. He can just zip and zap his way just out of there, out of the fray. But right now, Singularity, they have shaved off about a minute on the clock, but Cloud9 are going to be looking for the strong dive engage now as they start to build up Mikey as pole spawn.
All right, C9, they don't want history to repeat itself. Not 4 times in a row, they say here, Bren. As they look forward. Mikey holding onto the bomb, just backing out. They're being fairly disciplined here. They bait up Christopher, but Poppy Fresh, the equalizer, grabs 2.
That was critical. Christopher falling meant that was completely open there for Cloud9 to try and take this one, and they're still attempting it for the time being. The players are going to respawn, but Poppy Fresh, what a clutch, man. The double kill with the pulse bomb in the nick of time is going to prevent that push from Singularity, or from Cloud9, I should say. And now they have to reset. 2 minutes down. Is this going to be doable for them? I don't believe what I'm seeing.
I'm scared for C9. This should be their redemption here, and very likely could be. It's still in their favor, but time is carefully running out here. Now, the pulse bomb eaten. Mikey, he tries to force it. The rest of C9 moves in with the Transcendence, but they didn't get the opening with the pulse bomb they want. Fisher, he gets the barrier, and now he brings out the blade. Looking forward to get anyone on C9, but C9, they disengage. No one has fallen here yet, and C9, they've struck deeply. The counter barrier's in. They're up 2, now 3.
They're going straight forward. A juggler here. Nevix trying to just pull out his blade, finds the kill into Kalex there, and still Smex desperately trying to stall this one out to the best of his abilities, but there's only so much one man can do. Singularity do not have much to work with. Christopher using a promo rage, jumps in, tries to stall this one out, but they're getting focused down so hard here by the side of Cloud9. Mikey A and Marzaza just cleaning up the back lines here. It's looking beautiful right now if you're a Cloud9 fan.
All right, is their long nightmare finally over? 1 meter to the go. Cloud9 has taken Watch Point Gibraltar. Words that you don't say all that often in Contenders Season 1.
And now we're going to be seeing them go over to the 5th map that we see in tiebreaker scenarios like this. It's going to be Ilios. And now that's the real question mark here. Cloud9, because their previous performances, you know, as well as they've been playing in these last 2 maps, across the board on control maps in general, Cloud9 have not had good performances. In fact, they traditionally, if they win the control points, that's when they normally win, right? And we haven't really been seeing that. You know, they'd lost the initial map against Singularity on the pole.
Well, the thing is, that was really against their history as well, where if you think about it, going into the 1-2-3 match, C9 was undefeated from week 2 on in control.
Yeah.
That was their bread and butter. Today, this has been a really reversal of course, where if you look back at pre-1-2-3, how C9 played, they would win series when they won them by taking the first 2 maps and using that to put themselves over the top. But here, it's been Assault. It has been Escort.
Yeah.
However, that could be an ill omen because to keep themselves alive, they do have to win on control here.
Ilios is a tricky map as well to predict because it's so unusual in the way it's laid out. It allows for a lot more different sort of picks and sort of running the Widowmaker on Ruins, for example, is a good example of this one. I mean, if Cloud9 can't really develop their sort of strategy and pull it together, which they seem to have done, in the previous 2 maps, they've been playing much better than they did in the initial 2 maps. Singularity, however, they're strong on control. It's one of the game modes that they are going to be very happy to play and take Cloud9 to. And Ilios, you can get some funny situations. There's a lot of those death traps, a lot of those wells. You can really run into problems with this. And I mean, one thing I would be excited to see is a bit of Fire Mercy coming out on Ilios, because you do see it every now and then.
Fire Mercy we also see Widowmaker when you get to the Ruin stage, which we're not guaranteed to play. Of course, it could be the 3rd stage, and if you just have 2 maps, that would be it.
Yep.
However, Ilios is definitely a control point map that has a little bit more variation to it.
I like how the windmill has like solar panels. I'm assuming they're solar panels.
Yeah.
Is it solar panels? They must be. It's got a thing plugged into it. It's generating electricity. They're happy.
It's really super eco-friendly. If you want to go eco-friendly, you have wind power, you have solar power. But what happens when you put your wind power and combine it with solar power at the same time? You get a windmill that makes slightly more electricity.
All right, ZP, if I paid you $5 grand.
$5 grand.
To live in the wilderness of Greece for 5 years, would you do it? $1 grand for each year.
That's clearly far more than I usually make for that 5-year time period, but I would have to decline. I can't go full Bear Grylls. It's not in me.
I reckon you could do it. I have faith in you. Don't you worry. But as the game kicks off here on Ilios between these two teams, it's going to see the dive composition by both of them, and they're not wasting any time whatsoever, just getting stuck straight into the thick of it. And Cloud9 are actually coming out on top with those initial 2 kills.
C9, early engagement going in their favor, and that's what has defined C9's dominance on control when they were doing well in the middle of the season. Just dives that everyone falls through on, they get initial kills and snowball from there. You weren't seeing it back on Nepal, but you are seeing it here as C9 is able to get first control at this point.
Yeah, going to be a rapid capture for them for the time being, and they are now in a position where they can hold defensively in certain areas. You can see already it's very spread positioning right now. All the players just mainly taking the high ground and holding that up for the time being, but Singularity are now going to look to engage all around the map here for the time being. You can see the upper area is being contested for now. The longer this goes on, the more it's going to be favoring Cloud9, who are currently sitting with that positioning advantage.
C9 right now more than willing to just sit pretty here on the coast, the Lighthouse stage, and Christopher getting picked off early. So does Mozasa, but this isn't the tank advantage that Singularity was working with on Nepal. Now it's a more even 5-on-5 for Mikey, plenty of room to work with, and oh my goodness, almost gets Lucio, but what a save by Smex! Keeps Kelix alive, and that could be a big swing here in the course of this map.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff, and Gray ended up actually coming. Oh, that was a little bit tense there for a second, but I was going to say the Transcendence now being used by Mr. Beck here, along with the soundbar Cloud9, really trying to secure this one out. Singularity going to be answering back with their own. Only connects onto the 3 players, but Mozasa is there with the Primal Rage, pushes Mr. Beck out of the fight, out of the equation. Nevix with the Dragon Blade now is trying to secure it for his team. Done a lot of damage as a result of it, and Singularity are forced off the point.
C9 able to just stall for enough, or sorry, C9 able to stall for enough time there to let Nevix get back in with the blade. And now 70% to 0, Bren. This is looking very good for C9. Singularity, how important is it that they take this next fight?
Incredibly important. I mean, right now you're getting into the danger zone. I mean, I'm not talking about Top Gun as it stands, even though I did just go skydiving, but Singularity, they got Fisher with this Dragon Blade. They need to be winning this. What a stick! He actually bringing down Mr. Beck there in the process. Fisher now has to equalize with this Dragon Blade.
And the blade is out. Singularity, this is going to be their final fight. They waited too long to engage it, so they don't get 2, they just get 1. Fisher cut down midway through. The DPS of Singularity very much in a rough spot right now, and C9 poking and prodding them from the angles. They have the numerical advantage, and they're flexing it right now as Christopher is all alone.
Yeah, Cloud9 going to be very happy with this one here. Singularity desperately just switching up the compositions to a degree. We see Fisher, he switched over to the Doomfist to try and see if he could find his way onto the point, but ultimately it will be Cloud9 taking this first initial round, and Cloud9, they're 1 round away from winning out this series away from Singularity.
C9, it wasn't looking good for them at the half. It was looking very good for Johnny on the analyst desk, and he was very happy.
Turned around.
I don't know if we can't get a camera on him right now, but I assure you, that is a grim face right now. He is tense looking at the results of this game here, where C9 very well could be bringing this back from the brink.
Yeah, and this is a little play that we saw from before. The boop away onto Fisher to just knock him away from the point and really seal the deal there. Good plays all around. Now, Singularity look like they want to change up the composition a little bit. We are going to be going to well. And as a result, Farah Mercy is out to play as well. Fisher wants to really trying to steal this away from them, and this can be a real dangerous scenario if Cloud9 aren't prepared for it. These damage-boosted rockets sent in long range can one-shot a Tracer and do a heavy amount of damage to these 200 HP DPS targets.
Know where C9 is going here. This is exactly where you want to go if you're facing a Farah, but Mikey, he gets caught by a stray rocket. That makes things really rough. Even if you take cover inside this building, you're still down a player. It doesn't really matter as much anymore, and C9, they know they're at a disadvantage. They're going to retreat here.
Forced to back off, and it's exactly like I mentioned. The damage-boosted rockets from Fisher, one-shot Mikey A, and as soon as you get that initial pick-off, all you need is for 1 rocket to hit, and it opens up the door for your team to just go in there and really take control of the situation. Cloud9 are going to start to try and re-engage now. They're taking it quite evenly as it stands. Mikey A even into the back lines, just trying to do a bit of damage, but it's going to be Christopher who gets the initial kill onto Gray. Nobody protecting those back lines.
No one protecting it indeed. The rest of C9 in their front line, they were just going straight up. They didn't worry about Christopher in the back, but Mikey now, he's making room. Not only does he work on anti-air duty, he's D-Mex Smex. He's a big threat here. Poppy Fresh, can you equalize? The pulse bomb is out. No, doesn't connect. And now Singularity is a bit under the gun.
They are indeed. They're getting pressured back for the time being. A sound barrier by Kellex. It only connects onto him. I don't know what the heck he was thinking there, but that was not a great ultimate coming out of this. And Cloud9 are going to be very happy with this one. They're going to be able to retake this one as soon as they clean up these stragglers. Or are they? Fisher wanted to go for the barrage there. I could sense it, but it gets picked down. And as soon as they finish up Kellex here, they are going to be able to find it. They get control of the point. But Singularity, that was a wasted sound barrier coming out from them.
I don't know why Kellex did that there.
I think I understand why. If I might explain just quickly to interject, like Poppy Fresh was super weak, and they wanted to use it as sort of a tempo play. But even then, it was a really, like, you know, it was super tight angle to try and hit that onto Poppy Fresh, and he just got brought down by Mikey A.
And even then, it's sort of what are you really looking at there for what reward you're going to get. But now Singularity, they're in. The Primal Rage from Christopher opening things up. Both Winstons going ape, and Malzasa's getting at Kellex first. Now this puts a timer on Mr. Beck. When does he res? He's going to do it now. You have to bring Christopher and Kellex both up at the same time. He's waiting for it. There it is. They're back into the fray, and Singularity still has a chance to bring this one back.
Bit of a reset. Cloud9 are still a man down as Gray is finished, but Nevix is going to be cleaning up Christopher once again. Smex gets desuited, and with that, Nevix has free reign to use that tactical visor to try and do some work. Still, the fight continues, but finally, Singularity are going to choose to just reset this one out. Poppy Fresh just falling into the well on purpose there to respawn with the rest of his team.
Cloud9, 35% away from keeping their playoff hopes alive here. They don't have a lot left in the tank here, though, Bren, as Singularity comes in on this next fight. How big is Poppy Fresh here looking for this early opening pick?
It's going to be big. It's the only thing they can realistically rely on because, you know, Pulse Bomb, as quick as it does charge, it's hard to hit, but it does turn these fights in your favor. However, Cloud9, they've got Neptune over sound barrier. They can stall this one out, and we could potentially be seeing one of the final fights of the series right here, right now.
Sound barrier in from C9. No kills front here just yet, but they focus down Smex. They will get the DMAC towards the end. Christopher also under pressure. However, Fisher, the weather report, in over the top. DMAC space and gives a little bit of room here for Singularity. They double invest. The barrier is in for their final three members still alive. And it's a bit of a brawl here in the point as you see Mikey buying a lot of time for C9 to potentially come back in with reinforcements. 99%. We see Mazaza. He moves back in. He has the defense matrix to try and keep him alive, and he wants to try and go for the back lines. Poppy Fresh is down and out. The overtime finally taking over. Smex, he falls into the well. He got desuited as he was flying over it. Christopher booped into the fray. He's not getting out of there at all. Singularity are crumbling under the pressure right now. Mr. Beck is going to be able to resurrect Fisher to try and reset this one out, but they're crumbling, and Cloud9, the overtime falls, and they are going to be winning Ilios here and now, taking the series. And Reinforce, he's not going to be happy on the desk. I can tell you that one for free. His Christmas got canceled.
It really did.
He was looking fantastic at the half, but you know what? I give him a pass there because Cloud9 defied their own history. Generally speaking, they don't do well towards the latter half of series here, but clearly they made some adjustments. They were able to sort of defy their past, and as a result, though they're not in the playoffs yet, they have kept their playoff hopes alive. Yeah,
honestly, fantastic play by Cloud9 across the board. To turn around a series like that when you're 2 maps down takes an incredible mental fortitude, and they have shown they have what it takes, you know, to play in the upper echelons of Overwatch at the end of the day, and they've definitely turned up here and now with this series. So.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for us here on the casting side. We're going to throw it to the desk where we can see one incredibly disappointed Swede.